I
Okay.
was not at all good in English till I passed my 10th. Like make mistakes in subject verb agreements, right?
Hmm.
So I used to say like that is where I was after 10th. But when I gave my first attempt, all my uh, things that I thought like I should be
Right.
able to crack an exam, it was all busted in my first
Right.
attempt. Like it's not going to happen without serious efforts. I read so many novels, so my
Right.
like I will be good in RCs and everything. But it's a myth. And why? I'll tell
Right.
you why. Because the novels are not structured, or the structure of a novel is not the way e-GMAT gives you an RC passage. By following all those strategies, I knew that I am guessing or I am like deducing the primary purpose correct.
Hmm.
So that helped me a lot. That improved my speed, and in the end, it improved my speed so much that I ended up the verbal section 5 minutes before. I'm not joking.
All right. A warm welcome to all the viewers who have come here to watch this superb success interview with Aniket. This interview will give you a lot of insights about how to go about your entire prep, the decisions that impact your score, and how to maintain a great work prep balance. And for that, we have the man of the moment, the man of the hour, Aniket. Aniket, welcome to the success interview and thank you so much for doing this. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me here, and I am glad that I can share some of my experiences in the last 6 months that I have gone through with anyone here. If even one student is inspired by this interview and can go ahead and gets his dream score, then I'll be happy. That's my entire aim.
Wow, that's so nice of you because sometimes you forget to give it back to the community, the same community that has given us so much. And I'm glad that this is the motive that you've come here with. And this is certainly going to help. Trust me, because I've seen your journey and I know where this is going to land. Okay. So glad to have you once again. So Aniket, you've scored a mammoth 740. Okay. You are in the top 3 percentile of the test takers across the globe. It's a mammoth feat, right? So I'll ask you with a very simple question. Uh, this is a question that many people would have asked you. I will ask you as well for people to know how does it feel. So how did it feel when you saw that score of 740 pop up on your screen? What are the first thoughts, first reactions, if you can share?
So first thought was a relief, because
Okay,
this was my second attempt. As you know, the first attempt
right,
went like it was 660 and I was disappointed. And like whenever you are giving a competitive exam, right? Like before I had given CAT, SAT and everything.
right,
Now I gave GMAT twice. It's a big relief when you know, okay, now you are in the top 2 or top 3 percentile. It's like there is one dialogue in Kota factory, wherein
Quota factory.
Jitu Bhaiya says like, IIT इसीलिए मत करो क्योंकि तुम्हें उससे कुछ सीखने मिलेगा, IIT इसीलिए करो क्योंकि वो टफ है. तो वो
Right,
टॉप सो गेटिंग इनटू द टॉप 3 टॉप or whatever it's your dream score, like for me it was top 2 or top 3%. For someone else it might be top 1%. For someone else it might be top 10%.
yeah,
But when you
absolutely.
achieve that goal, you have that very satisfied feeling that okay, you have done something. तो
Hmm.
तो वो काफी रिलीफ होता है माइंड में कि we
Right.
will be able to achieve, we can crack tough exams, we can be in the top 5
Hmm.
percentile or top 2 percentile wherever we go आगे जाके. और
Right,
क्योंकि कंपटीशन कभी खत्म नहीं होने वाली. इवन इफ यू आर अ
right,
स्टार्टअप, you are in a you are a founder, or you are working in a big organization, or a small organization, competition हमेशा रहने वाली.
right,
But when you look back and you say that okay, मैंने मैंने GMAT में 740 मारा है, I know I can compete. You just have that a little bit of confidence in yourself going forward. So that it was a big relief
right,
when I saw ki, okay, I can crack tough exams.
right, right. All right. So I'm sure this sense of relief would have had a bit of excitement as well, right? And since people now know what you aimed for, and people already know that you've gotten there. Now it is time to dive into that journey and see how did you get there, the hindrances, the obstacles that came in your way, those great decisions that you made, a few wrong decisions also, and then the entire journey from beginning to the very end, right? So before we start with your journey, it is important for us to help the viewers, who come from India as well as abroad, to understand a bit about your background. Whatever is relevant, please share your background with us so that people know where you come from.
Okay, so I am coming from a Marathi background. Marathi is my
Okay,
mother tongue. Okay, I
okay,
was not at all good in English till I passed my 10th.
okay,
Like make mistakes in subject verb agreements, right?
hmm,
So I used to say like that is where I was after 10th because I never
okay,
gave enough importance to the language English, right?
true,
So that's, and then I did my engineering. Gradually, of course, my English improved because when you work in the corporate sector, you have to
hmm,
write a lot of mails and everything. So gradually, my English
right,
improved. But that was the baseline that I started with in 2011.
yeah,
So then, like after 7, 8 years of corporate experience, I was decently comfortable in English, but was never confident. I was always confident on my mathematical abilities. Uh, and so yeah, so I like 8 years of experience and one good thing that I was very confident of while giving GMAT was like I gave ZAT and I had around 96 97 percentile in SAT as well. So I was decently confident that okay, I can crack a competitive exam if I put in more
right,
efforts. But the
right,
pattern is completely different. ZAT is quant based and
hmm,
GMAT is English based. Like if you
ah,
see the toughness level, like ZAT
yeah,
is quants is too tough, English is little bit easy, whereas
right,
GMAT English is considered as a tougher component than quants. So
right,
the pattern was complete, and also the pattern was completely different. ZAT is not adaptive. This is adaptive. In
hmm,
ZAT you can go back and check a question if you have time in the end. Here
yeah,
it is not an option. So
yes,
so although I had in my mind that okay I can do something, uh, but when I gave my first attempt, all my uh, things that I thought like I should be
right,
able to crack an exam, it was all busted in my first
right,
attempt. Like it's not going to happen without serious efforts. Uh,
hmm,
so yeah, so that's my journey. I have worked in I have data analytics experience, and
okay,
uh, and then after 8 years, I decided to give a shot at competitive exam again.
okay,
Uh, so that's my journey.
all right. Thanks for sharing your background. So now you come from an engineering background. I'm sure you were doing really well in the data analytics field as well during your 8 year work experience. After 8 years, it's very difficult to get back to studies, right? What told you, or when did you stumble upon the idea that you must take the GMAT and you must go ahead for an MBA?
Hmm. So this is a very interesting question because there are two aspects to it. One is the aspirational aspect. Like
Right,
although I did do an MBA before, it was from a like a decent college. I won't say a bad college, but from a decent college.
right,
So I always had in the back of my mind that I want a good college for
hmm,
a longer future. Like like I should have a college on my resume which is going to help me for the rest of my life.
makes
So,
sense.
so I always had that in the back of my mind. Keep one more shot we should give, at least a 1 year course, if not
Right,
a full-fledged MBA, but one good course. I wanted that in my resume. Uh,
hmm,
so that was one aspect, which was aspirational aspect, wherein I wanted something good for myself.
right,
Second aspect is the opportunistic aspect. What happened is like my wife had to travel to US on a very long term
okay,
project in April,
okay.
and then they tried for my H1B visa as well. The company we happen to work for the same company, so they
Oh,
so they tried everything from their side. because they
Ah,
knew my wife is going to travel. They asked me like whether you are comfortable and everything. So I was like, yes. I mean, like if she is getting an opportunity, why should I say no? So
true.
so then they asked me like, okay, we will try whatever we could from our side. We can from our side. If it happens, well and good, we'll send you as well. If it doesn't, then you will have to take some decisions like whether you want to continue with the firm or whether you want to go there and study. So they themselves suggested like one good option is like people do this. They give GMAT, GRE, and then they travel abroad and they do a 1 or 2 year course and then again they start their journey. That's
Right.
what many have done. So this was the opportunity aspect. Like they tried everything from their side.
Mm,
It couldn't happen. My H1B didn't go through. Many of the viewers will also know that it's a pure lucky draw which happens.
absolutely.
Yeah. So it didn't go through. And then I saw like, okay, now this is an opportunity. Like I am getting like it's a good like one thing we can say like it's a negative thing, like I couldn't go through. But then I saw it positively, like, okay, now this is one more opportunity. I always wanted a good college. This is a crack that I have again, one more chance of
Right.
cracking an exam and getting a good college, which I always wanted before.
Mm,
So this was the opportunistic aspect. Like, okay, I have this
okay.
now. I have one more shot at my education. Let us give our
Right.
best and see what happens. So
Right.
these were the 2 points that drove me
Mm,
to give my best to this particular exam.
right. Right. Pretty practical, I think, scenarios here, right? And a
Yeah.
very practical decision. And then that's I think a very good decision, and you've done whatever you had to, right? So now let us get into the pre-GMAT journey. I'm sure that before now that you had decided that I want to take the GMAT, want to give one more competitive exam and add another feather to my hat, right? Uh, you must have performed a bit of research, or maybe you would have also tried to prepare on your own, right? Either of the two cases, whatever you did, just help us understand the pre-GMAT journey.
Okay, so pre-GMAT, of course, like anyone will do. I just thought like, okay, let us search if there are some good courses available.
Okay,
During my first attempt, I came across a lot of good courses. Of course, e-GMAT was the number one course.
mhm,
There were a lot of good reviews. But
right,
before my first attempt, I since there were so many good reviews, I was actually not able to believe that this is something. This is these are reviews given by these are honest reviews basically
okay,
because there were many.
right.
So I had doubt in my mind, boss. There is something wrong here. It is not a possibility that so many people are giving so good reviews.
Too good to
These
be true.
too good to be true. So I
Yeah,
and I have that analytical mind, right? You have always have that 1% something like, okay, this is too good to be true.
right.
So before my first attempt, I went for expert global, you
Okay,
know, and then of course it was a mistake because I scored 660. I won't say that the course is bad, but it didn't suit
right.
me at all, to be very honest.
Fair enough. Mm,
Okay, so that is my perspective that the course didn't suit me. I won't comment on the course itself, but it
right.
was not catering to my needs.
Ah,
where I'll end this discussion.
yeah.
Then after getting 660, I was like, and I already knew from my ESR report that I am lacking in certain areas. Like RC I was on the 16th percentile. Quants
Mm,
again very bad, which was a surprise, but I had to accept the fact that I'm not that good in quants. So
right.
now, at least now, whatever the data is showing, I'm not that good in quants.
Okay.
So then I again like went through the entire same journey. Like, okay, now I need a better or at least a different course
Mm,
because Expert Global hasn't helped. So then I actually took the first time I took an e-GMAT trial version. I saw
okay.
like what all things they are providing, and then
Right.
I was like fairly like still I wasn't 100% sure of joining, but I was like, okay, let us see, at least take one session with them and then see
Mm,
what all things they are providing. So then I don't remember the mentor's name. The first call that I had with e-GMAT, I forgot his name, but he walked me through the entire journey of a person who scored from 660, which was my initial score, like in
right.
the first attempt from 660 to 760. And he took
Right.
me through his entire journey, like how e-GMAT helped him to boost his score. And then he said like the algorithm is completely data driven. It is not that we are doing anything. We have like everything is in place for you. You will you won't have to, since you are already at a 660 level, your basics are fairly clear. I won't say 100%
Right.
clear, but fairly clear. So we will help you to just focus on those aspects which you are lacking now. So that's
Right.
how he took my ESR. He entered all the details in his in the e-GMAT software, and he showed me like these are the improvement areas. This is what you should focus on going forward, and that's all he did. So then I was convinced, 100% convinced that they are putting efforts on their side. You
Right.
know, that is how I so more than the software, the way the mentor, like the initial mentor, walked me through was
Right.
a I will say the inflection point for me to get
Hmm.
e-GMAT, because then he
Okay.
literally put a lot of efforts in convincing me, and through data, not just words.
Right.
So he had the data. He had every point, like, okay, this is where you are lacking. This is how
Right.
it will be improved. This is the strategy that you should apply. And then I was convinced, like, okay, the software like we can give it a chance. And
Hmm.
that's how I chose e-GMAT, and the rest is history.
Oh, absolute history. Okay. Uh, Now, see, the best part about the e-GMAT course is that, look, many courses uh, provide maybe a bit of customization in the later stages, but e-GMAT is one course that will provide a bit of customization right when you start, because we realize that your time is precious,
Correct. Yes.
because most of the students who come to us are all working professionals who work for 8, 10, 12 hours a day and then have the courage to do a bit of studies a couple of hours. And if you ask them to go, from the scratch, even if they have some ability, doesn't make a lot of sense, right? So that is probably why that very mentor, told you that if you're at a 660, you almost have a lot of the bases covered. A few maybe foundation issues here and there, but that doesn't mean that you go back to square one and do
Zero.
things.
Yes. Correct. Correct.
Yes. So that is one of the many USPs that we have. Anyway,
Yes.
this interview is more about you and not about e-GMAT. So we'll move on. All right. So you chose e-GMAT, and I remember that you chose to start with the verbal section, right? I know why didn't you choose the quant section? Because a few minutes back you mentioned that you were always very good with quant and very confident. So that's why you chose to start with verbal. Help us understand those specific issues with verbal that prompted you to start with the verbal section.
Okay. So the first issue that I was facing in verbal was first. I won't say there were many issues, but the prominent issue that I was facing in my first attempt as well was speed in reading. Right. So I do read a lot of novels, and I was again under an impression of myself that okay, I read so many novels, so
Right.
like I will be good in RCs and everything. But it's a myth. And why? I'll tell
Right.
you why. Because the novels are not structured, or the structure of a novel is not the way e-GMAT gives you an RC passage, right?
Mm.
Basic difference is novels that I used to read, right? And I used to
Right.
read good novels, like not like Harry Potter stuff. I used to read like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, which are like good novels,
Right.
good English novels.
Mm.
So, but still, it novels are like conversational English. Like it is not a reported speech English.
Ah,
So you need a lot of imagination to understand a novel. Whereas when it comes
true.
to GMAT RCs, they are not going to be immersive. Like novels will help you to stay focused on the novel because that is why it is
Mm.
designed. GMAT
Yeah.
RCs or any reported speech, if you see an article in Hindu or an Wall Street Journal, it is like if you are reading it, you will get bored in the first paragraph itself, right?
Mm. Right.
That is the main difference between these two. So even if you are a very voracious reader and you are reading a lot of novels, you have to have that practice of maintaining your focus after the first paragraph, because these RC
Ah,
passages, they are not going to be friendly to you. They are like as dull
true.
passages as possible.
They can
And
be. Yeah.
I am being very frank here, because they are going to be like some medical passages which is going to give you details about DNA, about genes, how the nucleus is structured, and you will have no idea. First of all, if you are like me, first of all, I am not at all interested in the medical field. I have no
Right.
interest in biology. And after
Right.
the first 2 or 3 lines, you are going, like someone like me is going to start dreaming, like
Mm.
what is this happening? Like I'm not interested in this passage. So that
Right.
was the biggest hurdle. And it is not only for passages, even for critical reasoning, it is very important because they are also structured in a very similar way.
Right.
Even though it is short para, but there are multiple elements interlinked. So like there are 3 or 4 levels in a difficult critical reasoning passage. There
Mm.
will be 3 or 4 levels of logics that you have to interconnect with each other to understand the entire para
Right.
perfectly. And I always used to get lost in this because I was
Mm.
never habitual in reading all these dull passages. But
Right.
then that's how I started. Again, I had to accept after my first score that I am not not good in these things. I cannot
Right.
just keep on saying that okay, I'm good, I'm good. No, I am not good. I have to accept that. So then that's why when I started my journey, I contacted you. I told you like I
Right.
am struggling here. Please let me know what to do. But then
Mm.
that was like a critical point because you said like go through these like I already had done the reading comprehension and critical reasoning sections,
Mm.
so I knew what are the methods to achieve the high accuracy even in the difficult.
Right.
So and then you suggested like go through Wall Street Journal articles,
Ah.
to go through Hindu
Yeah.
articles, like the especially the opinion section, where the
Right.
author is writing their own opinion on the on whatever is going on in the current world or the current affairs.
True.
That helped me a lot. I used to like at least for four, like 3 or 4 weeks. Daily, because I was working daily, I used to take two articles minimum. I used to go through the articles. I used to write down the main point. Just this. What can be the
Okay.
main point? And then to verify whether I've written the main point correctly or not, for each and every such article, there will be a headline, which is nothing but the
Okay.
main point. There is the
Right.
title, and there is immediately below the title, there is the headline. That is
True.
generally the main point of their entire article. So I,
Okay.
I didn't read the headline first. I used to like properly apply all the strategies given by Pyle while reading comprehension, how to predict the next paragraph or how to predict the next line, how to structure your thought flow while you're reading the passages. I used to for every day 2 article for 3 to 4 weeks. I did this, and then I
Okay.
started to see the improvement in reading because then I was able to guess. Okay, the next paragraph will talk on this. The next paragraph
Yeah.
will talk on this. So that automatically improved my reading speed a lot. And then
Right.
I used to get the primary purpose almost 100 times correct because I knew that
Right.
by following all those strategies, I knew that I am guessing or I am like deducing the primary purpose correct.
Mm.
So that helped me a lot. That improved my speed, and in the end, it improved my speed so much that I ended up the verbal section 5 minutes before. I'm not joking. It actually
Wow.
happened. So with
This
a
is unreal.
V44. So again, it is not that I only ended verbal section. My initial score in verbal was 34, which is I think 70 percentile or something.
Yes.
This is,
Approximately.
yeah, and this is now I have ended up in V44, which is 98 percentile. Of course, since I have a good score, I am not going to get ESR. Otherwise, I have given, I can tell you that uh, from 16th percentile in RC, this is definitely above 90 percentile. And
Absolutely.
only because of the strategies that I have, the efforts I put in every day, 2 articles, like implement the strategies given by Pyle. Initially,
True.
it will take around 12 minutes, 15 minutes to get
Mm.
only the main point. But when
Okay.
you do it for after 2 weeks, after 2.5 weeks, you will see the time coming down. And like there is a myth, right? Like, there are a lot of myths available in while reading the RC. Like read the first 2 lines, read the last two
Right.
lines, skip something, skim read
Right.
first, and then go to
Skim read.
questions. I will say, please, if you are not good in RC, avoid everything.
Right.
Have the practice of reading the entire passage and getting the information from the entire passage. Because from my personal experience, I can say initially it used to take me like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, even 20 minutes to solve an RC, a difficult RC.
Right.
Later, when I was used to these habits, like 4 questions, 7 minutes were the maximum that I took
Wow.
while solving a difficult RC passage. And for
Wow.
the viewers, like there are lots. So e-GMAT first of all provides a lot of difficult RC passages, so you can be very it will be very helpful for you anyways. Even if you want more practice, then on gmatlab there are a lot of difficult RC passages that you can go through, and you will see improvement yourself. Like if you follow this habit, like reading the entire passage thoroughly is the only
Right.
way to solve the passage in the quickest way. There is no other
Right.
way. I mean, like all the other techniques, they might work for like 2 out of 10 RCs, or they might work for an easy RC, but
Mm.
they are not going to work for the difficult RC. This is from my personal experience. I will say like follow the methods taught by Payal, and those will sound difficult initially because you are not habitual to that. Like no,
Yeah.
jotting down the points and everything, you will think that it is taking a lot of time, but it actually doesn't. After you get used to it, a difficult 4 paragraph RC you will finish in 3 minutes. After like summary with summary, I'm saying you will finish in 3.5 minutes. And for 4 questions, you will hardly take 1.5 minute,
1 minute.
max to max.
Yeah.
On an average, max to max, you will take 1.5 minutes. So 7, 8 minutes for a difficult RC with 4 questions, and a long difficult RC, 7 to 8 minutes max you will take.
Right.
And of course, the second is like then I switched my novels as well. Once I got to know that okay, this is the problem. One is
Mm.
like the novels are like completely for me, so that I completely stay with the novel throughout. I switched the
Right.
books. Then I switched
Huh.
from a novel to a reported speech book. So since I am
Acha.
always interested in history, I started to read the books by J. Deepak. The first is like
Oh,
India,
yes.
that is Bharat, and second is India, Bharat, Pakistan. So but I won't say to go this extreme because those are really tough to read. J.
Right.
Deepak is a lawyer. His language
Yes.
is of course tough. But then since I wanted a novel which is like pure reported speech novel, and plus I am interested in India's history, how everything happened, I chose those books,
Right.
and maybe those also help. But
Mm.
again, that is just a secondary aspect that I chose to do. The
Right.
primary purpose, I'll say, that go through the novels, like not novels, go through the articles from like Wall Street Journal, Hindu,
Mm.
or any good newspaper, and go through
Right.
the opinion articles, write down the main point, practice, read the articles thoroughly, write down the summaries for each and every paragraph, write down the main point. After 2 or 3 weeks, like someone like me who was the 16th percentile in RC, after 2 to 2.5 weeks, I saw a very big difference in my reading
Right.
speed.
Right. That is so nicely put, Aniket. What I loved about your response to this little question was uh, you actually put it so simply. You put the difference between a novel and the RC passages so
Yes, yes,
simply, because many people come to us saying that, you know what, I'm a voracious reader, but I'm still struggling. So you've answered that one question even without me asking it. That's wonderfully put. The other thing that I've always loved about you uh, is the quality of acceptance. The first step towards improvement is acceptance, and trust me, viewers, you will also realize this as we go through this interview, because there's a lot of acceptance to come from this humble man. Okay, so the one was to realize that, okay, fair enough, I believed I'm good with RC, but I'm not. I'll work on it. And Aniket also mentioned one more thing. He said, I always believed I was good with quant, but right now the data suggests that I'm not. So fair enough, right? We'll speak a lot about these things as well. So RC was difficult. The exercise I suggested helped, but more than that, your effort, your persistence. You kept repeating one thing. Initially, it will take time,
yes, yes,
but then it will
100%.
happen,
Yes,
right?
yes,
So persistence is another quality that I think we can get inspiration from Aniket's journey here. All right,
yes, yes.
RC done and dusted, Aniket. What did you do for SC?
SCE in my first attempt, I was at 75th percentile. Even for
Okay.
critical reasoning, I was like around 70th percentile. This is where the software helped a lot because for
Okay.
RC, it straight away said like, so in e-GMAT software, for the ones who don't know, they are structured in three stages. Stage one is very basic. You have to do everything from scratch. Stage two is cementing. Stage three is mastery. So
Oh,
by looking at my data, the software suggested like SC, I'm okay enough. So it gave me like stage two directly. It suggested like go through stage two directly. Now,
right.
just I wanted to make sure that okay, at least I have the basics covered. I again just went through just a quick brush, like okay, what is subject verb agreement? What are the main idioms to go through? What are modifiers? So I just quickly went through this basic concepts from the e-GMAT, and I immediately started for sentence correction, cementing process, and
Right.
that's how I did it. I think e-GMAT's examples are really tough. Okay, that's what I liked about it. It will take you to a level which is not expected on GMAT. There are very so see there are two things how you make a question tough, right? Either the question itself is tough, or the options are very
Right.
difficult to choose from. In
Right.
e-GMAT, what I saw that especially for SE, the options are very difficult to choose from. There are very minute
Right.
differences. That helped me a lot because I was used to observing those minute differences. And in SC, this is very important. RC is logic, CR is logic, entire quants is logic. SC is not that logical, but then you should be very observable. Like, where is that extra comma, which is going to change the meaning
Right.
of the sentence? And trust me, more than grammar, meaning of the sentence is going to play a biggest role in getting the answer right for 8 out of 10 RC questions. Right? For
Right.
80% of the RC questions, it is going to be the meaning. It is not going to
Right.
be the grammar that is going to help you solve
True.
RCs. And my reading strategies in SC helped a lot again here as well because I used to quickly understand what the RC what the SC is the SC line is supposed to mean.
Okay.
It helped me a lot. And
Hmm.
then once I got, and I never looked at the options. This was like one principle that I have followed diligently. I never
Hmm.
ever looked at the options before I'm 100% sure that what the SC is supposed to mean.
Yes.
Like it has happened, like it took generally SC should be finished with like per SC, you should take around one to 1.5
One and a
minutes.
half minute. Yeah.
Yeah, but there were a few SC like SC questions, especially in e-GMAT, which were long, right?
Hmm.
Since the question is long, of course, it will take more time. Even for
Yeah.
those questions, I was completely convinced that until and unless I get the meaning of this particular line, I am not going to look at the answers. What happens is people do the opposite. What they do, the strategy that they follow is they look at the underlying portion, they then check, okay, what is the best option that suits.
Right.
That is a very wrong approach because you are going in again in simple in medium level SC questions or like between simple to medium it might work. In difficult level SC question it is not going to work because you need to know what the author wants to say
Right.
from that particular line, and once you get the meaning of that particular sentence,
Right.
marking options, it won't take you more than, trust me, it won't take you more than 20 to 30 seconds if you know the meaning what is going to happen, because there are like at least three options out of five which
Right.
will be senseless. Once you get the meaning, it will be complete senseless. It will be
True.
grammatically correct. They will be
Yeah.
grammatically correct. I'm not saying that they won't be grammatically correct. They will be grammatically correct, but they will make no sense,
No sense.
right? And then three options are eliminated straight away. Now you have to only focus on the remaining two options, and you have to check
Hmm.
like whether the modifier is placed correctly or not, or whether the comma is placed correctly or not. And
Right.
and e-GMAT RC, e-GMAT SC is, I think, I'll say the best. I mean, like, you should not even try to solve any other courses SC. And reason I'm saying only trust e-GMAT's SC is because the language that e-GMAT has used for preparing SC question is very much similar to what you're going to get in actual GMAT. And this is very important here because if you are not familiar with the language or the errors that the actual GMAT is going to test you on, you will end up, you won't be like, you will take more time to solve the questions. You might solve the questions correctly, but you will take more time to solve the questions. e-GMAT has like put a lot of efforts on testing you on the concepts which are going to be tested in GMAT. And
Right.
very simple concepts to mention here as an example are like parallelism between a gerund and a verb. It should never happen. Gerund is
Right.
not a verb. This
Yeah.
will be tested very frequently in e-GMAT. And if you are habitual in solving e-GMAT's question, there will be similar patterns which after a certain point of time, it will be in your muscle memory. Like, okay, this is the question. This is what it means. 90% of the times
Right.
you will be able to identify errors while reading or understanding the meaning of the SC question itself. And then
Right.
once you know, okay, this is okay, I know that, okay, this is the subject verb agreement error. All you have to do is just check which is fixing the subject verb agreement error and then mark the answer and move on. That's what I'll say. So two things to take away from here: never ever move to options before understanding the meaning thoroughly. And second is,
Right.
don't practice stupid stupid SC questions because they are not framed in the correct way, which is GMAT is going to test you. Only practice e-GMAT or the official questions, of course. These are
Right.
the two questions I'll say to practice thoroughly. Do not go beyond these two.
Okay. Fair enough. Once again, wonderfully put. All right. Now coming to the CR part, as you said, you were had a decent ability. 70% ability is a very decent ability. I'm very sure that the PSP, the personalized study plan, would have asked you to go through stage 2. But I'm very sure that you would have observed certain things there as well, and you would have taken away certain methods from there as well. Just help the viewers with that as well, please.
Yes. So critical reasoning. Uh, so while the first attempt, I did score a good 70 percentile.
Right.
But I see, again, there are a lot of myths, right? And I follow those myths in the first attempt.
Mm.
First myth is read the question first and then the passages.
Okay.
That's what I did. I read the question first. Okay, assumption. I have to find an assumption. I used to go to passages. I used to find an assumption, and then I used to mark the answer, whatever that is, and move on. So it worked. I won't say maybe at that time it worked. Whether it will always work or not, I am not sure. But it worked to
Okay.
get 70 to 75% percentile. But
Huh.
GMAT is an exam which is time based. It costed a lot of time. Okay, I
Okay.
had a good accuracy, but it took a lot of time. This
Mm.
approach, like read the question first and then the passage.
Right.
Uh, in e-GMAT, this was the one pretty important step. They asked you not to read the question first. They asked
Mm.
you to read the passage thoroughly first,
Okay.
understand the passage end to end, then move on to
Mhm.
question, and then frame an answer to that question. So it's a simple, let's say, assumption question, right? To give a very simple example here, let us say there is a scientist who has like 2% success rate, or let's say there is a surgeon who has only 2% success rate in his
Right.
surgery,
So
and then
yes.
hence he is not a good surgeon. Let us say these are the three elements in the critical reasoning, and
Right.
then the question is asking you to disprove this point, like weaken this.
Right.
So it's a very simple thing. Like the first thing that I will that because I have this practice of pre-thinking, the first thing that comes to my mind is, okay, the 2%, although he's solving the 2%, only 2% of his cases successfully, the cases are very complex. And when
Okay.
I compare the complexity of this surgeon to other surgeons for the similar
Mm.
complex cases, their success rate is 0%. So we
True.
cannot say that this is not a good surgeon. This is a good surgeon because he has a
Right.
higher success rate. So that is the first pre-thinking point. Now, what I want to specifically say to viewers here is, although this might not be the exact option that I'll get, but what this does is this helps me to structure the entire critical reasoning argument in my brain thoroughly.
Mm.
Because now I
Yes.
know, okay, this is one of the point that will negate this argument. That is what I want to do. And
Mm.
now I will look for the option or a similar option which is going to negate this argument that he is a good surgeon or he is not a bad surgeon. Now
Right.
that since the entire argument is like perfectly framed in my mind, I have no confusion of what I want to do, or I have no confusion of what I want to look for in an option. it becomes very easy for me to mark the answer and my time reduced. Like generally what they say is to mark a critical reasoning question, you will take around
2 to 2.5 minutes.
2 to 2.5 minutes.
Yeah,
Uh, but I can say, like, from all the data that I have, I used to do it between 1.5 to 2 minutes after this particular
yeah,
approach. And I'm
right.
not lying. I mean, like, I don't know whether the report of GMAT gives you the not the ESR, the
It
report gives you
does.
the average time. ESR gives,
I don't think the
but
report
I don't
does.
think it does.
Yeah,
But since I have like 5 to 6 minutes spare, I can 100% say that my timing was between 1.5 to 2 minutes for even for CR. And it is
I'm
only
sure.
because of this pre-thinking approach.
Right,
People, I have said, like, I have read a lot of comments like why this approach won't work because whatever you
right,
pre-thought will not be the option always. See,
right,
my counter comment for all these things is like, see, the purpose of pre-thinking is not to find the right answer. The purpose of pre-thinking is to get the structure of that argument, of the critical reasoning argument,
right,
perfectly in your head.
right.
Okay, that is the purpose. And if that happens, and if you know what to look for in an answer, it helps you a lot in say it saves a lot of time.
Great, great. Once again, very nicely explained. Uh, I'm sure these are those little tips I think that actually go a long way. Uh, you actually took me back to the to my time when I was doing CR, and this is exactly how I used to do it as well. Uh, very, very nicely explained in simple words. I think uh, things have been conveyed. So kudos
I
to you on
hopefully
that.
that's the purpose of this interview,
I'm
to
sure.
help someone who is struggling the way I used to. If I That's what I
Right,
said. Like, if I even help one person to crack a good score with the help
right.
of this interview, my aim is achieved. So
Absolutely. I'm sure it won't be one, it will be more than one for sure. But
hopefully.
good going so far, Aniket. Good going so far. You're doing really well. Uh, you're actually explaining things in a more a better way, more refined way than otherwise I would have expected. So I'm just having fun, and I feel even I'm an audience. So good going so far. So verbal V34 to V44, superb journey, finish on a high. Let us come to Quant. This is where people will learn a lot, I believe, right? So you were always good with Quant.
Yeah.
You're an engineer. What do you think went wrong?
See, I have to be very frank here. What went wrong is I did not follow the e-GMAT process. To be very, very frank, I since I had in the back of my mind, like, I have cracked that. I am good with cons. I don't
Hmm,
need practice. I'm okay to, like, brush up and go and give the exam. That's what I believe. And to my surprise, this was working in the official tests, right? In the official
hmm.
tests, I never scored below 49. Uh,
Okay,
Maximum wrong attempts that I had in the official tests were 4 out of
okay,
31. So that's 27 was the least I got, and that was 49.
hmm,
Maximum, again, the maximum could have got is 50. So 49 and 50, these were the only two scores I got. And then I was
okay.
pretty confident that I don't need e-GMAT. It's fine. Let us just go ahead and give the exam. But again, this was a myth.
Yeah,
Thankfully, my verbal went so well that I could score a 740. And
right.
my quant did not go well. I had to mark 3 or 4 questions just randomly because I was short of time.
Hmm,
Uh, Maybe it was on that day, out of the 4 questions that I marked correctly were marked randomly were came out to be correct, and I could
okay,
score a Q48, and which
right.
which eventually took my score to 740. But this was a big learning for me, and this will be a learning for all of you. Do not underestimate or do not overestimate your own abilities. uh, like, e-GMATs, again, not to market them, but to be very frank here, their process of quants is very simple. There is this pace setup. All you have to do is is to give the diagnostic quizzes, and from the diagnostic quizzes, they will recommend it. The setup will recommend you to do what all modules are supposed to be done based on your responses to the diagnostic quizzes.
Mm.
I think
Yeah,
if I would have followed that diligently the way I did for verbal, maybe the score could have been Q50 and from 740 to 760.
absolutely.
But that is like anyway, 740 I'm happy with. I have achieved my target. So I like it's better to move on and do the rest of the admission stuff rather than
Right,
giving a reattempt. And again, that is my view. Uh,
right,
but but yeah, here I'll say that I made a mistake. I should have. I mean, like I had time. It's not that I didn't have time. It's just that whatever extra time I had, I over focused on verbal to make it perfect, which happened.
right.
But maybe if I would have like carved out a bit of the time for
Want
math
as
and
well.
put in
Mm.
more quant and put in more efforts there, I could have got Q50. But it's fine. It's a learning again. Do not
Absolutely.
unnecessarily overestimate your abilities.
Mm.
Uh, but sometimes you are lucky enough to go through. In this case, I was maybe like I don't know what positive energy was surrounding me then, which helped me. But then one thing I will always say that see, on that day, you don't know what you are going to do best at.
Mm.
Like it can be a very good quant day, it can be a very good verbal day.
Would be.
Put in efforts in both. That is what I learned on that day. Like you have to give 100% in everything. Since I gave 120% in verbal, it saved my day. Uh,
Yeah.
but again, this is the learning. Like put 100% in everything that you are giving. You'll definitely get a better result.
See, guys, I told you this man is full of humility and acceptance. He simply came here and simply put it, you know what, I made these mistakes. But I'm very sure, Aniket, the kind of person you are, this learning is going to stay with you for the rest of your life. And not just you, you've just given others a learning. And the wisest people are those who just don't learn from their own mistakes, who learn from others' mistakes as well. And I'm very sure there would be many out there who would have learned a lesson even before committing the mistake that you did. So wonderful, wonderful. Okay. Uh, so Aniket, we are nearing the end now, and I would want to certainly admit that behind every successful individual, there are a lot of other people who've compromised, who've sacrificed, who've helped, who've sometimes felt bad as well, but have left their emotions aside to just support that one individual who was on a mission. Who were your best cheerleaders?
Okay, I will. There were a lot. I will mention only two. Okay.
Please.
Uh, the first one, of course, I always mention in everyone that my wife has been my biggest supporter. Okay,
Right.
although she is in US, but she always says like, okay, you are putting in efforts. Initial 1-2 mocks didn't go well. I had scored like 680, 690, 700, but she was like,
Right.
okay, you put in the efforts. We'll see. Don't worry about this. Put in the efforts and keep on going. So first, of course, individual will always be my wife. Second
Okay.
is again the person who's taking my interview. Okay, uh,
Whoa.
because see. What I told myself when Dhruv was suggesting me the methods to improve, like the RC and everything. What I told, like he has experience in this field. It is not right to ignore whatever he's saying and just do what I want to do. It is not right because he has experience in this field. Let us just respect his experience and follow the tips that he is giving. I followed it for verbal very diligently. I did not follow it for quant, and then the score reflects that. So so these are the two individuals again that I'll say who helped a lot. He was there as a constant guidance. Whenever I wrote to him, he used to go through my profile. He used to spend at least like 7 or 8 minutes. The video that with his tips was of 7 or 8 minutes. I'm sure that to create the 8-minute video, he must have spent at least an hour and
Yeah.
going through all the data so that he can, transfer the message in 8 minutes.
Yeah.
So yes, and in verbal, I'll say it was, I cannot even imagine that in a GMAT verbal, which is supposedly tougher than
Mm.
all this CAD, SAT, all the other
Right.
competitive MBA exams. GMAT's verbal is supposedly the toughest verbal, and I was able to get 98 percentile. Uh, it was unbelievable for me, and especially I was never confident on verbal. So his steps, they were really good, and of course the support that my wife provided. So these are the two individuals that I'll mention.
I didn't expect this to come up, Aniket, but thank you so much, man.
See,
I'm really glad
from
that you.
till now, if anyone has watched this interview, he will understand that this guy is frank, right? Like they will point to me and say, okay, whatever he's saying is frank. He's not going to just like what's him
Create a
shine,
rosy picture.
paint a rosy picture, or shine a metal unnecessarily, right? And present it as a gold. No, whatever happened, happened. So, and if there are some truths, if there are people who help me, you they deserve the credit. Why to take the entire credit like to yourself, right? I am a big sports person. I watch a lot of sports. Whenever my idol Federer is my idol. So whenever he wins,
Oh,
the first thing that he
nice.
does is gives the credit to his wife and his team. Now
True.
people might say that he has won 20 Grand Slam. What did his team do? That's not correct. His team did a lot of things.
Yeah.
He has an entire data analytics team who goes through all the opponent's data and then tells him like
Mm.
what are the opponent's weaknesses
Strengths
and
and
everything. So
weaknesses. Mm.
so when I that's what, like, if I am scoring good, I know there are a few people, the entire team has helped me. They deserve the credit. I mean, why not to give them?
Wow, thank you so much. But I would still give a lot of credit to you, probably your wife, because I know myself, this journey is not simple. Of course, you need a few cheerleaders, and I'm glad that you believe that I was one of those. And I'm really touched and humbled. So thank you so much for that. So, Aniket, you were a working professional throughout your prep. Just help us understand how did a day in Aniket's life look like when he was prepping for his GMAT from morning
Okay.
till end.
I worked at a firm which started at 12 and ended at 10.
Okay, okay,
Thankfully, this is a very good work timing
UK
for
shift,
US shift. So the
US shift.
overlap was from 6 to 10. 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. was the overlap with US clients.
Ah, okay,
So thankful, and like I won't take the name of the firm, but it's a very good firm,
sure,
and we had a very good culture, like strictly from 12 to 10 to 12 to 10. Whatever I was supposed to deliver in a week's time frame, I had to deliver. But if I'm delivering, there were no unnecessarily additional pressure.
right,
So till 12, I had a lot of time. Of course, after 10, once I am drained out from work, I cannot study. I knew that.
right,
I might read a book, I might watch a few series, but I'm not going to study. It doesn't help, right? You are not in the frame of mind to study after 10, and whatever you study, you are not going to grasp it. So it's just a waste of time.
right.
So I
True.
used to study from 7 to 9.
Okay,
Uh, then I used to do my workout, and then I used to sit for my then lunch and everything, breakfast, lunch and everything, and then I used to sit for my work. So 7 to 9,
okay,
2 hours daily I used to study. Sometimes it happened like 7 to 10. If I felt like I have to put in more on some days, so I used to skip my workout and then put in some extra effort.
more hours. Okay,
So yeah, 3 4 hours. But that's how I planned. Like in the morning, 7 to 10, 7 to 11, I'll study, and then the rest of the day I'll work. Of
right,
course, it was made very easy because the structure of the course is very simple. That this was one of the biggest points. No, yeah, one of the biggest points I'll say, because GMAT. if you go in the market today on the gmatclub.com, there are lot of study material available. Sometimes you are overwhelmed with that study material and you end up doing nothing. So instead of that, I just followed what e-GMAT gave. I kept it very simple. I practiced what they gave. I followed what they gave. I followed those strategies, and I stick to this schedule. I think 2 to 3 months it took to complete my material and give the GMAT. And then yeah, so that's what I did. Being a working professional, this was the plan that I made for myself, because and I am a morning person, so
Okay.
I like to study in the morning because my mind is fresh. So I like to get up and start my day at 7:30. So hence I chose this particular time slot to study.
What time slot was it for your test as well? Was it the morning
Test
slot?
I took at 2 p.m. No, it was not the morning
Okay.
slot, because all the mocks that I gave from 2 p.m. And the reason I
Hmm.
chose 2 p.m. So So this was a very funny thing. The reason I chose 2 p.m. as a time slot, because I thought, and a weekday, because I was like, I think like if there are fewer people in the room giving the test with me, I will be less anxious. There will be few noise around, and I'll be able to give my best. That was
Okay.
one thing that I thought of myself. Hence, I
Okay.
chose like a weekday and 2 p.m. Most of the people will be in office. There is no chance that the room will be crowded. So hence I chose this time slot, like weekday and 2 p.m.
Wow, Aniket. Oh, wow, this is crazy. I have never ever thought about somebody, I never met somebody who thinks about the time slots the way you do. But this is so practical and this is so
Yeah.
cool.
So because I knew like if there are more people, what happens is like, I don't, especially for verbal section, I don't like noise around, because you have to concentrate really hard on
Yeah.
what is written. Every minute word sometimes is very important. If there is noise around, if someone is typing their analytical writing section while I am giving verbal, I cannot say to him or her that stop typing, I am doing something, right? It is not practical. So
Yeah.
that's what I thought, like, okay, what is the probability that minimum people will be there when I am giving the exam? And
Right.
the peers and centers are very good, right? If there are minimum people, they are not going to make you sit side by side. They will
Hmm.
give you a good, because they also
Good
understand, right? It's an
space. Yeah,
important
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So they will give you a good space. Like if someone is sitting in
Hmm.
slot number one, you might get slot number 7 or 8, which is far away. So that's
Right.
what how I thought. Like, okay, I want minimum number of people along with me to give the exam. And
Right.
weekday, that too, I chose like Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday, because I thought like Wednesday, whether it's not near to any weekend. So I did a lot of all this permutation and combination, and then
Wow, yeah.
chose like, okay, this is the weekend. Weekday 2 p.m. slot is the best slot, because there will be minimum number of people. The chance of having the minimum number of people is the maximum.
Hmm.
So let us just go with this. And it happened, there were like only 4 people and there were 8 slots. I was like happy, okay.
Wow. You know
And
what? You just taught the viewers one more thing, one more way to think, because I remember when I started the interview, I said that a lot of decisions impact your final score, and you should never undermine these decisions. I, as a mentor, never thought about booking slots like this. You just taught me something which I am going to take forward and share with all my students. Okay? Because if there are a few who think like you do, why not? Why not go for a slot like this and think in this way? This
yeah,
is
I mean,
super, Aniket.
and anyways, like one day leave, no firm is going to reject, right? I mean, like,
Absolutely.
they won't even ask, like, why are you taking a leave? So that's
Yeah.
fine. I mean, like, why not to take it to your advantage and then
And even
go
if it's
and
an
give it?
unpaid leave, it's 1 day unpaid leave.
Huh.
Yeah, that's okay. But because look at what I'm getting after losing out on that little money.
Exactly. So, and
That's
I,
how you
I
look at
was
it.
very anxious about the verbal section again, because I doubt, like, although the mock scores were very good, but I wanted to be at my best for that particular like 65 minutes, because I knew like whenever there is the slightest of sound, in my room.
Right.
It used to like just throw me off. Then
Bother
I
you.
had to read the entire passage right from start. So I
Yeah.
was very much like in this mindset. No, boss. Verbal, I don't want any disturbance. Now, of course, no disturbance is not a possibility because you are going to give with someone.
Minimum
So
distance.
so then the next best thing is minimum disturbance. So that's how I thought. Like, okay, this is the time slot which I'll get minimum disturbance, and then
Yes, it is important to know what you need,
yeah, exactly.
what you are, what you feel, the most efficient time of the day, when you are at your best, right? It is
And
important to know all of these.
even when because I already knew that I am going to do this, all my mocks I gave between this time slot, like from 12 to
Very
3,
good.
2 to 5, because generally after lunch people get like a little dizzy and
Yeah,
they
drowsy.
drowsy, not
Yeah.
dizzy, drowsy, right? So even when I was giving mocks, I timed my lunch like I the portion that I ate before my mocks was the exact same thing, like two parathas, and then I set and then the like I knew like for travel I'll take around 1.5 hours because the center was like little far from my home. So for a
Okay.
2 p.m. mock, I used to eat at around 11 p.m. and then I used to stay hungry for the rest of the time because I know on the exam day I'm not going to get any food from 11 p.m. to 2 p.m. So 11 p.m. I used to eat two parathas. Like after that, nothing. I used to give mock at 2 p.m.
Hmm.
and then at 5 p.m. I used to eat whatever there is available.
Wow.
Like normal, my coffee. I'm a coffee person, so after the mock, I used to take my coffee. But that's how I practiced because then, because I knew like this is a good opportunity. I wanted to
Hmm.
like train myself mentally, physically,
Right.
and that's how I did it. Like I gave like 4 or 5 mocks. All the mocks I gave like this only. Like
Wow. Superb, Aniket. Superb. You
I mean,
made sure
this
that you
might be a very
simulate the
little
test
thing.
environment. Yeah,
Uh,
it actually is not little, Aniket. These small things, they make a lot of difference and very few people realize it. I'm glad that you realize it during your prep because these are not little things. There's nothing little in GMAT, Aniket. I tell a lot of my students when they say, I made a silly mistake. How can a mistake be silly if it is costing you a lot of money, a lot of your time, a lot of your effort, your dream B school, your dream career, your dream pay salary? A mistake cannot be silly. Everything that you do on the GMAT journey is big, is important, is significant, and will impact your final score. And that is what we learn out of this success journey of my dear friend Aniket here. And Aniket, I thank you from the bottom of my heart because I am also taking a lot of insights and a lot of knowledge from you today. Um, Trust me, I had a lot of fun speaking with you, listening to you, understanding where you come from. Uh, it was all unique. And thank you so much for doing this. It's an honor.
I'm happy to help. As I said, like I want people to realize their dreams. I did at least the first step I took of scoring. And now let us see how the next admission process goes. Hopefully, I get a decent college.
Right.
That's the thing. But as I said, like the
I'm sure
purpose
you will.
is
I'm
to
sure you will.
inspire at least one person. Even if it is indirectly, I'll be happy. If someone goes and say, I saw Aniket's interview, he said all these things, and that's how someone gets inspired. I'm happy with that as well. It is simple. Like I did well. I want people to do well, and there is only
Wow.
one way. That is so. Again, I said like my idol is Federer. So he always says there is only one fastest way. I know there is only one way to achieve success is hard work. There is nothing else is going to help you in your career. Hard work is the only way to achieve your goals, and you have to work hard. There is no other way. So that's what it is
Wow.
for me as well.
Wow. So I'm very sure a lot of people who watch this interview till the very end uh, are going to take a lot of understanding and knowledge from Maniket's wonderful, successful journey, which had its own ups and downs, its own wrongs and rights. But he ended on the right side, and that is what matters, right? So thank you so much, Aniket, for doing this. It was a real pleasure doing this with you, and I'm very sure, like your GMAT journey, your application journey is also going to be a successful one. Whatever happens, you have to keep me posted because I will be cheering for you once again, but this time from the other side, right? And with
Thank you.
this, we
Thank
come
you.
to the
Thank
end
you.
of this interview, guys. Thank you so much for watching this. And thank you so much once again. Do look out for the next interview that comes in, because there will be another successful person like Aniket who will share his or her own journey, right? Thank you so much, Aniket.
Thank you.
I'll see you soon. Keep me posted. Bye.
Yep.